Welcome to chapter 17, the book of 2 Samuel. We're in the midst of the story of David and his son Absalom, who is revolted, brought soldiers with him into Jerusalem, taken the city, and then went and took the concubines of his father, had relations with them to disgrace his father. And we have a few people that are mentioned. Ahithophel, who was the right-hand man to Absalom as far as a general and a counselor. And then David will go down further and he'll have his people. But Ahithophel, it begins, said to Absalom, I shall choose indeed for myself 12,000 men, and I shall rise up and pursue after David at night. Nikta, we have nocturnal from that derivative. And I shall come upon him, and he will be tiring and loosening his hand, and I shall startle him. So he wants to go after him right away in the middle of the night. And all the people with him shall flee, and I shall strike the king alone. And I shall return all the people to you, in which manner a bride returns to her husband. Nymph comes from that, a bride. It's a derivative. Besides, you seek the life of one man, and all the people will be at peace. Wants the life of his father. It's pretty terrible. Seems like, though, palace intrigues go throughout the ages with sons against the fathers against the sons, and so forth. I think of I'm thinking of Saddam Hussein, but I'm not sure if his sons were actually against him, but they were pretty bloodthirsty sons. But back in the Middle Ages, in England, the kingdoms, people of the family, the rivalries between brothers and people of the family and so forth was common. So here we have Absalom wanting to be king. It's more important to him than his relationship to his father. Now, David had many wives and many children, so I suppose that would be one of the negatives of having a polygamous relationship with all these different people. You wouldn't have the closeness as you would have with just one couple, and children from that one couple, I would think, would be closer. So Ahithophel tells Absalom what he wants to do, and the word was pleasing in the eyes of Absalom. And in the eyes, ophthalmologist is derivative, and in the eyes of all the presbyteron, the elders of Israel. And Absalom said, well, call indeed Hushi, the Araki, the Archite, and I shall hear what is in his mouth, and indeed of him. Now, Hushi, as remembered, was a friend of David, and he wanted to go along with David, but David told him, no, go back and ingratiate yourself with Absalom as king, and then when you find out something, especially with the counsel of Ahithophel, then debase the counsel of Ahithophel and send word to me through the sons of the priests. So now this Hushi was a friend of David, and he's pretending to be a friend now of Absalom, but he's not. He's the opposite. And I shall hear what is in his mouth, and indeed of him. And Hushi entered to Absalom, and Absalom said to him, saying, according to this thing Ahithophel spoke. He tells him, shall we do according to this word? But if not, you speak. And Hushi said to Absalom, it is not good, this counsel which Ahithophel counseled this one time. Well, actually, it was good. And Hushi said, Well, you know your father and his men, that they are exceedingly mighty, and their soul is very bitter as a bear, being made childless in the plain. And your father is a warrior man, and in no way shall he rest the people. He's not going to stop. He's going to keep on going. For behold, he now hides in one of the canyons or in one of the places towards the Dead Sea, where they have all these canyons. Have pictures of the Dead Sea there. And it will be when they fall upon them at the beginning that one shall hear the hearing and should say, there was a devastation among the people following after Absalom. And indeed, any son of power whose heart is as the heart of a lion melting away shall melt away. So if we come there and we don't really succeed, then it's going to be bad, because people will be afraid of King David. For all Israel knows that your father is mighty, and sons of power are all with him. Thus advising, I advised. So he shows the reasons why Absalom shouldn't follow the advice of Ahithophel. And then he says, and all Israel in gathering together shall gather together unto you, from Dan unto Beersheba. Now he's kind of puffing up Absalom. Everybody gathered together. Why be hasty in going after? Let's get it strong here and get all the people together behind you. You're so important. And that they'll be as the sand upon the sea in multitudes. There'll be too many for David. And your presence shall be going in the midst of them. So the importance of you being in the midst of them. And so that sounds good probably to Absalom, that he's now the center of the attention rather than letting these people go after his father. And then we shall come upon him in one of the places, whichever we should find him there, and shall camp upon him as falls the dew upon the ground. We'll have all these people, and we shall not leave behind in him or among him, and of his men with him, indeed, even one. And if he should gather into the city, then all Israel shall take lines against that city and drag it apart into the rushing stream, unto not leaving behind neither a stone. So any city that protects David, then we'll go and tear it down, not leave any stones there. And Absalom said, and every man of Israel, well, the counsel of Hushai the Archite is good over the counsel of Ahithophel. And the Lord gave charge to efface the good counsel of Ahithophel, so that the Lord should bring the bad things upon Absalom. So that's very interesting here, that God wants to accomplish something, and somebody has somebody good that gives you good counsel, but yet the Lord wants to punish the person, so he'll bring somebody else that is lying, but you don't know, and the advice of that person, if you take it, you'll fail in whatever you're going after. And the Lord has done this in other places where he has brought, sometimes it was even called evil counsel against people. He takes enemies sometimes to do bad things, to punish the bad things that we do. Israel did. And Hushai said to Zadok, the priest, and Zadok is mentioned in the book of Revelation, the book of Ezekiel, as being a faithful, it might even be in the Revelation, but it's in the book of Ezekiel as the priest who was doing the correct things. He was a faithful high priest. and to Abiathar the priests. They were both, I'm not sure if one was higher than the other or not. And Hushai said, so-and-so advised Ahithophel to Absalom and to the elders of Israel, and so I advised. So Hushai tells Zadok and Abiathar the priests, who David also had sent back, who wanted to go with David, who took the Ark of the Covenant with themselves, but they went back, and David said that they would be a conduit of information going back to David. So now, Hushai says, and now send quickly and report to David, saying, you should not lodge the night according to the descent of the wilderness, but by pass over, and that's the Jordan, so that the king should not be swallowed down and all the people with him, in case Absalom changes his mind, I suppose, and wants to go with the counsel of Ahithophel. But just in case, so Hushai is telling him to flee right now, move. And Elnathan and Ahimaaz, Jonathan and Ahimaaz, the sons, stopped at the spring of Rogel, and came forth the maidservant, and I didn't go look it up on a map exactly, but it's someplace over there by the Dead Sea, or the top of it by the Jordan, maybe by Jericho. And this maidservant came forth, and she reported to them. And they went and reported to King David, for they were not able to appear to enter the city. But a young man, it says, and a young man beheld them, and he reported to Absalom. And the two went quickly, and they entered into a house of a man in Bahurim, and unto his sistrum in the courtyard, and went down there like a well. And a woman took and opened and spread out a covering over the mouth of the cistern, and she cooled it by dried clusters, probably figs or fruits, upon it, and they did not know the thing. So they didn't know that it was hollow underneath. And the servants of Absalom came to the woman. Apparently they had found out that these two men had went into the house. And they went into the house and said, where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan? And the woman said to them, well, they went for a little water. That's what they came for, mikron. And they saw, and that's the derivative, micron. And they saw it and did not find water, and they returned into Jerusalem, which was a lie. Now, questions whether or not if you should lie in cases like this, give people the wrong information. David did with his enemy, with the king of Gath, and I think other people trying to save somebody, if they're righteous, to give the enemy some wrong information. I don't see that as being a problem myself. Other places in the Bible, I can't think of any right now, but I would think that would be, if that was wrong, I think it would have brought it out here. And it came to pass after their going forth, these men looking for these Jonathan and Ahimaaz, that they ascended from out of the cistern and went. And then they kept going to report to King David. And they say to him, rise up, pass over the water quickly, for thus Ahithophel counseled against you. They told him the story. And David rose up and all the people with him and passed over the Jordan until the light of the morning. So this was around Jericho, until one was not aware of who did not pass over the Jordan. And Ahithophel knew that he had not taken his counsel, that is, he, being Absalom, and Ahithophel, saddled his donkey and rose up and went to his house in his city. And he gave charge to his household, and he hung himself and died. That's pretty amazing, but this man realized that his future with Absalom was worthless, I suppose, felt bad about it, and took his life. There was a battle in, I think it was in the Second World War in the Solomon Islands, where the United States was defeated by the Japanese early in the war, and 2 or 3 admirals were taken to court-martial type thing, an inquiry, find out what's going on. But they were exonerated, but the one went in and shot himself and killed himself. So doing these things when people have lost all hope, then they will commit suicide. It's not unusual. And so they entombed Ahithophel, him, in the burying place of his father. And David went through unto Mahanaim, and Absalom passed over the Jordan. So now David's up in Gilead. And Absalom passed over the Jordan, he and every man of Israel with him. So apparently there's some time break here. It doesn't say how long, but now Absalom does have these people, and he does come after his father. And Absalom placed Amasa instead of Joab over the force. And Joab, of course, was the general that was with David. And Amasa was a son of a man, and the name to him was Eather the Israelitu, the Israelite, Ithra the Israelite, who entered to Abigail, daughter of Nahash, sister of Zeruiah, the mother of Joab. So he was related to Joab, this Amasa. So he entered to the daughter of the sister, the sister-in-law of Joab. And Absalom camped and all Israel in the land of Gilead. And it came to pass when David entered into Mahanaim that Sovi, son of Naash, now I'm not sure if it's the same Naash or not, from out of Rabbath of the sons of Ammon. It doesn't sound like it because these are the sons of Ammon, not a Jew apparently. And Machir, the son of Amiel, from out of Lodebar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite, from now he was a Jew, I'm sure, over in Gilead, which is the eastern part of the Jordan, where the country of Jordan is today. And he was from out of Rogelim. And they brought beds and spreads and kettles and ceramic utensils and wheat and barley, flour and beans, lentils and toasted grain, honey and butter, and sheep and cheese from oxen. And this vuteron, transliteration into butter. You can add that to your English Trivatives book. And they brought near to David all these things, and to the people with him to eat. For they said, well, the people are hungering and fainting and thirsting in the wilderness. So they're still in a wilderness area on the other side of the Jordan River, probably down by the Dead Sea on the eastern side of it, which would actually be in Moab, I believe. And now, the next chapter, we'll find out what happens when these two clash, Absalom, the son of David, and his father. Find out what happens, so you'll have to join us in chapter 18, and I hope you do. Until then, God bless.